Did you guys watch the women's game last night?
I did not get to it.
I didn't make it either.
Well, I was paying attention to it on the airplane. You know, obviously I couldn't, pull it in there, but I was, just keeping up with the stats, and I actually was able to get to go to the Wi-Fi and listen to the, just online. They were up 20 points at one time, man.
No, third quarter.
Up 20, and it was a nail biter, put it that way. I was trying to get off the plane. Actually, being delayed on the plane actually kind of helped, because we get into Orlando, and they couldn't open the what do you call that thing that gets you off the plane? The jet bridge. Yeah, the jet bridge didn't work.
I was gonna go with door.
Yeah, the jet. Yeah, who knows these days? But the jet bridge wouldn't work, and so people are just getting. Well, first it's Disney. Orlando, she had a bunch of kids that were getting real antsy. And I don't blame them, man. That's a long flight for a kid. That's a long flight for anybody from Chicago down to Orlando that time of night. But I just kept watching, just kept listening to the game. But, man, I couldn't believe, because, the figure that they end up winning, Nebraska ends up beating Michigan State 71-67, a game they should have won fairly easily, which the early score was indicative of that. They were up 20. Michigan State was 11-11. 11-10, give or take it before that game. This is a game they should have won, very handily, but they won. I'll take it any way we can get at this point.
The W.
Yes, take the dub. So the first quarter, we scored, 14-10. Then we went on the second quarter. We just went on an absolute tear. Scoring 26, only scored 12. Third quarter, we got cold. Fourth quarter, we got cold. So we ended up barely squeaking that sucker out, but we did, which I am not going to complain whatsoever over what took place. They needed that win bad, you guys, because you think about this as far as the schedule goes. Nebraska was coming off of, prior to beating Michigan State, they were coming off of 2 straight losses. Obviously Maryland, waxed us pretty bad last Sunday, 69-54. Iowa, they just got cold, but only losing up by 4. But they needed that win to lose last night, to go 3 straight losses, especially to a team that was on the bottom of the Big Ten. That starts mentally, you start wondering things. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're going up to putt, or you're shooting a free throw. It's kind of like you get in your own way. They needed that win bad, because they and then you think about this. Then they got Northwestern, who's 8-14. You should blow them out of the arena at Northwestern on Tuesday, on Monday night. So
let's just get the W.
What's up?
Let's just get the W.
Yeah, get this W, man. They need it bad.
I don't care. Blowout, win by 1, win by 20. It don't matter. Just get the win.
They need it bad, man. Speaking of basketball, fellas, Nebraska men take on Penn State Sunday at 4:30 at the Vault. What's your thoughts?
Well, so I want to backtrack real quick to women's basketball, because they're in a very interesting position. As you were to build off of it, they are listed as the last 4 in the NCAA bracketology for women's March Madness. So,
they can make a move.
Every win gives them a little bit more of breathing room in that NCAA tournament field.
Yeah.
And that'd be the second straight year that Amy Williams has gotten to the big dance. Now, once again, if you pay attention to women's basketball, they've went through a lot of ups and downs these last 10 months or 12 months or so within the program. So to not only deal with some roster attrition, with some off the floor kind of stuff going on, changes in coaching staff, all of that, to still deal with that and get them back to the NCAA tournament is a victory in their own right. And if you look at next year, they have added 2 top 150 recruits in their 2023 recruiting class, 2 McDonald's All-Americans, the Gatorade Player of the Year from the state of Missouri, and I want to say Logan Nisley is her name. And they're just freak athletes. So the future is bright for women's basketball, but keep it going, keep it hot. They just got a commitment the other day from a girl in Australia. So Australia's been a very kind of a pipeline. We talk about pipeline in football, but Australia has been a pipeline for women's basketball. Izzy Bourne, Jazz Shelley obviously is from Australia. You had Ruby Porter last year, who is now professionally left the team, is playing professionally in Australia. So that Australian pipeline has kind of become something this staff has leaned on to get players to come to Lincoln.
Nick, where did that pipeline start to Australia?
I honestly don't know. I wonder if it was Izzy, because I wonder if because like Jazz Shelley, so she started her career at Oregon and then just transferred to Nebraska. But I think also, guys, we see it. I mean, Ty Webster for Husker men's basketball came from New Zealand. So we've seen this international kind of pipeline, I suppose. Ole Koyanets is from Lithuania. Nebraska's been able to utilize the international waters to their advantage. Women's basketball has been able to do it more than men's, I suppose so. But I mean, an Australian men's player was Jack McVeigh a couple years ago. So, for Husker men's basketball,
where was Thor from?
Thor's from Iceland.
Yeah,
and so you had a lot of guys that have played international. Keisei, obviously from Japan. So, it's just kind of fascinating to see how small and how tight knit those international circles are. Because Izzy knew Jazz Shelley, and that's a big reason Jazz Shelley was good to come to Nebraska, was because of that connection there. Then you had Ruby Porter. Now you have the new commit that I'm blanking on her name. But then you're also able to go out and get a couple McDonald's All-Americans and Gatorade Player of the Year, like they had with Callan Hake from last year in Minnesota, who's now playing significant time for Nebraska. Now Logan Nisley, the Gatorade Player of the Year from Missouri. So they've had the ability to go out and get some of the top tier talent. And they've now made the tournament, and they're able to develop it. So
you look at Nebraska, the women, Nick and Raff, they are very young. How many seniors do we have on this women's team this year? I'm curious on that.
So I'm not sure if Rico can hear us. I'm pretty sure Sam Hybe is a senior.
Does she have a COVID year though? Well, that's it. She doesn't have.
This is her COVID year. Yeah. So this is because she didn't have to come back.
That's right.
Season. Sam Hybe is. I'm not sure. Oh gosh.
I'm pulling it up right now. I want to see real quick.
I'm so ready for COVID years to be finished because it confuses me so much. You think someone's done, and then they're like, "Oh no, they got another COVID year." It's like
exactly. Well, and then you have like medical red shirts and everything in that situation as well. So it looks like Sam Hybe is their only senior.
So here we go. Isabella Bourne is a junior.
Yep.
Trinity Bradley's a junior. Kendall Coley is a sophomore. Hold on here. Nyla Dillard's only a sophomore. Good Lord. Hybe's she's graduate. Callan Hake, she's a freshman. Not even playing much. Maddie Kroll's a sophomore. Markowski's only a sophomore. Maggie Mendelson doesn't play much at all. She's only a freshman. She's from Ogden, Utah.
Yeah, she's that dual sport athlete between volleyball and women's basketball.
Yeah. Moriarty Kendall is only a sophomore. Jazz Shelley's only a junior. Annika Stewart's only a sophomore. Allison Wiedner's only a sophomore. Man, dude, they are young. The only senior, to your point, the only senior is Hybe, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, in that recruiting class they have coming in, Amy Williams and her staff have done a heck of a job as far as recruiting, and them girls are balling. They are balling. So it's
pieces just gets better and better.
Yes. Fellas, what do the men have to do, man? I mean, I think we're on a broken record here, it seems like, because it seems like to be the same storyline every time with Penn State coming in on Sunday. And I just think Nebraska is really at a crossroads, bro. I mean, basketball-wise, I mean, and not that we haven't been there for a while, but you figure Penn State comes in at 14-8. Penn State kind of handled our business. I just remember that shooting guard that lit us up there in Happy Valley. Nick and Raff, what was that point guard? Was it Banks or Fox? What was his last name?
Oh gosh,
he lit our tails up. Let me see.
Seth Lundy.
Seth Lundy. I mean, he lit us up from the outside like crazy. And what do we have to do, fellas? Because you figure coming into this game, points per game, they're 75th in the country. 73rd in the Big Ten. We're we're 73rd in the country as far as that goes. Averaging 73 points a game. I'm screwing this all up. Averaging 73 points a game. We're averaging 65. The key thing though is we're averaging 12.8 turnovers a game, y'all. That's the biggest stat that sticks out to me. And I know Strick would say the same thing. Those are things that are so easily fixable. You know, I get it, field goal percentage, there's going to be hot nights, cold nights. Even more importantly, of why you got to take care of the basketball. I just don't understand whether it's lack of focus or what it is, but they are very careless with the basketball.
Well, what's crazy, guys, if you look at Nebraska's game against Illinois, so first of all, for keys, Sam Griesel's got to have another night like he did against Illinois.
Yep.
Dropped 21 on Tuesday, and Sam Griesel needs that type of performance if Nebraska's going to want to win any more games. Same with Derek Walker. Those are your two leaders. Those are the two guys that you're going to look to towards the back end of the shot clock as well. here's what's crazy. You gotta avoid the massive meltdowns if you're Nebraska.
Yes,
you have to avoid the massive meltdowns, whether that's that's a extensive stretch or extensive period of time to where you don't score the basketball, or if you, like we saw it on Tuesday, where they had less than, I want to say they had less than 5 or 6 turnovers in the first half, but then it was a tale of two halves to where they turned it over. I know they finished the game with 19 turnovers on Tuesday. So they can't have these tale of two halves. They got to play consistent and complementary basketball to where they don't turn it over in the first half like 5 or 6 times, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's valuing the rock. If you take all things into consideration, 5 turnovers in a half is valuing possessions, but then you can't have the massive meltdowns in the second half to where you're turning it over 12, 13, 14 times in 20 minutes of game time, especially in the Big Ten Conference, and especially like Tuesday when you're on the road. Now they're at home Sunday, but still, you just can't avoid. You have to avoid the massive meltdowns and the long stretches of just not scoring the basketball, which has been an issue for Nebraska. Yeah. The last, entire time under Fred Hoiberg, these long stretches of not scoring the basketball has been the biggest issue. And that was what's so great about this season, was that when they switched their identity from offensive scoring the basketball to a defensive identity, you were sitting there going, if they go 3 minutes without a bucket, their defensive identity is going to carry them.
Yep.
Well, now you find yourself in a position without Emmanuel Bandamel and without Juwan Gary, 2 of your better defenders, where that becomes even more important. And the lack of offense becomes even more worrisome.
Right.
They just, and they're passing too. Like a lot of their turnovers.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand why they made the pass, but they got to understand that some of these passes they're making, the guy on the receiving end isn't, I hate to say it, but not up to the caliber to make the catch. Like if you throw one down at the knees of, say, Breidenbach or someone like that, chances are he's either, not going to catch it or he's going to fumble it around. So they just got to be more smart with their passing. I think that's huge. Like even that played I forgot. Was it Casey? I always get his first name.
Casey.
Yeah. They made that long pass down court and he went chasing it and diving for it. And it's like,
yes,
those are the kind of passes where I understand why you're making it, but you got to think beforehand and be like, what are the percentages that this is going to be completed?
So guys, before we get to break, I need to clarify a couple of things that I stated earlier about Husker women's basketball recruiting.
Oh no.
I want to give more details on Husker women's basketball recruiting because it's something pretty spectacular. Not many people are talking about it. So that Logan Nisley is a 5'11" guard from Bismarck, North Dakota. So she's from North Dakota. She's ranked as the number 91 player in the class after averaging more than 31 points and 6 steals per game, while hitting 47% of her three-pointers. She led Bismarck Century High School to a 50-game winning streak over 2 seasons before claiming a state runner-up finish in 2022. In the state title game, Logan Nisley put up 42 points, 23 rebounds, and 8 assists.
Nebraska's going to the Final Four within the next 3 years.
She has won.
There we go.
She has won Gatorade and Max Prep's North Dakota Player of the Year. That's recruit number 1.
I'm sold. Final Four.
Recruit number 1 is Natalie Potts, recruit number 2. Natalie Potts, a 6'2" power forward who averaged 30.7 points and 19 rebounds as a sophomore to earn Gatorade and Max Prep's Missouri Player of the Year honors after leading Incarnate Word Academy to a Class 6A state title in 2021. She was also the St. Louis Metro Area Player of the Year. The high school Incarnate Word finished second in the final ESPN W High School National Rankings with a perfect 29-0 record. She followed up her sophomore season, averaging 29 points and 18 rebounds. Potts, who played AAU basketball for the same AAU team as Sam Hybe, heads into her senior season ranked as the number 1 recruit in the state of Missouri by Prep Girls Hoops and MaxPreps.com. So you want to talk about accolades?
I'm feeling
Natalie
Final Four.
Potts and Logan Nisley, right?
Final Four, calling it right now.
I know that was a lot of numbers. I know that was a lot of statistics.
I loved it.
was a lot of accolades.
A lot of numbers.
But there's a lot of high numbers.
A lot of points.
A lot of high numbers.
You know, that's the future, like you mentioned, is very bright for the women. And I think it just, again, it goes to show you, you look at the difference, and I'm not, it's kind of apples and oranges, but basketball is basketball too. You look at how Amy Williams' roster is set up for longevity, you know, culture. You look at the men's team, you've had a different, your roster has turned over every year for the past, 3.5 years. It's hard to establish culture. It's hard to establish just an identity when the identity changes, every year. And now, granted, we're very young this year, the men's team, with an exception of, of course, Walker's gone, of course. Well, we're going to lose Bandelman, because he's a senior. Gary's got 1 year left, I believe.
Yeah.
Tomananga's got a year left. Obviously, Sam Griesel's gone. So we're very young there. This is the first year. Now, the record obviously is not indicative of it, of them having, this is the first year of those guys just having a lot of youth they can build on. It just hasn't been the case with the men's, and it showed, because when you haven't played, this is not an excuse, because regardless, playing basketball is playing basketball, but it is a symptom. It's not like I said, it's not an excuse. It is a symptom of why they turn the ball over so much. They haven't played together a lot. Now, I know people are saying, well, she's AD. They're deep in the season. That is true. Some of it's basketball IQ, and some of it's just unfamiliar still with each other. Raff, like you mentioned, not giving our big men a bounce pass at their ankles. Well, that's regardless of who you're playing with. Yep. Raff, you're a big dude. I can't give you a ball below your knees and expect you to do something. Just like
you can. Me, I'm very flexible, so I'd be okay.
Gosh, I love your humility. Nevertheless, basic basketball, give the big men the ball up here, not down there. They're not bending way down there. That's not even fair to them. And we've seen that play over and over again when it comes to some of the errant passes that we make on the men's side. So hopefully they can get that straightened up. Big men like that, give the ball up high. That's one of the things that irks me the most at times when I see them give a guy a pass at his knees. I'm just like, you got to give him the ball up high. Give him a chance, if you would. So hopefully they can get that cleaned up. Jeez, guys, if they just reduce half of their turnovers, just throw 7, throw 6.5. That changes the game up a lot.
Yeah.
Completely. Well, all righty. Well, I think we got a text in sent to the wrong number, but I'm going to give it some clearance just because we just want to wish a very happy birthday to Sanderson's mom. Happy birthday, Sanderson's mom.
Happy birthday to Sanderson's mom.
Have a great day. Sanderson, you might have sent that text to the wrong person, but happy birthday to your mom. All right, we'll send it to break. This is The Drive, and 3.7 The Ticket.